We live in an amazing time for medicine, where miracle cures seem to be coming on a regular basis. But there's a catch. We don't know how to actually pay to get them to all the people who need them. Today, I want to talk to you about two amazing gene therapy treatments that the US FDA is expected to approve soon for sickle cell anemia, a disease that affects some 20 million people worldwide and about 100,000 people in the US. Sickle cell is a genetic disorder. It causes red blood cells that ship oxygen around the body to warp and get trapped in blood vessels. Now, one-time treatments made from a patient's own cells collected over a period of months and then modified in a lab and given back to them could fix the underlying cause of the disease. Once a patient is ready for treatment, the whole process takes less than an hour. Doctors take the cells of someone with sickle cell and add a gene meant to produce beautifully flexible and dish-shaped red blood cells. Then they do an infusion. The gene therapy has replaced all of those unhealthy cells with healthy ones that course through the body and in the coming weeks and months start to expand. So far, the only people who have benefited from these drugs have done so through a clinical trial. So the care involved with administering the drug is free. But when it's on the market, an independent nonprofit that analyzes the cost effectiveness of drugs estimates the treatment could cost up to $2 million, which, believe it or not, is pretty reasonable. For context, Hemgenix, a treatment for an uncommon form of hemophilia, tops the price pyramid at $3.5 million. Can the US healthcare system afford treatments for many and not just a few? For that to happen, there are a number of hurdles that need to be overcome. For starters, most small business owners that offer self-funded plans could buckle under the weight of an unexpected one-time cost. And although private insurers might make things work, state Medicaid budgets are a zero-sum game. A surge of gene therapy payments could mean painful cuts elsewhere. Everyone from pharma companies to patient advocacy groups, state Medicaid programs, pharmacists are all trying to solve this problem. The healthcare community still has time to put a plan in place to get all of these gene therapies to the patients who need them. But if we fail to take advantage of that narrowing window, everyone loses. The inevitable hodgepodge of coverage approaches will leave many without access to transformative treatments. Companies could abandon promising therapies that they can't actually sell, and new technologies will never really take flight. Politicians and philanthropists love to declare war on diseases, and in this case, we are so close to knowing the one against sickle cell is winnable if we can figure out how to pay for it. Using a variety of newer technologies, this highly precise fix to our DNA is being tested across a range of genetic diseases. Annual spending on gene therapies could increase from $5.15 billion in 2020 to $25.3 billion in 2026. That kind of hit will blindside self-funded plans, which currently cover some 65% of privately insured people. And then there's the sizable portion of people eligible for gene therapies that are likely to be on government plans, state Medicaid or Medicare. A National Bureau of Economic Research analysis predicted that annual costs to public insurers of this new wave of treatments could reach $12.2 billion. In theory, the argument for state Medicaid plans paying for gene therapy is compelling. On a humane level, people get their lives back. And on a financial one, the long-term payoff for the state could save it from significant costs associated with complications from the disease. People could also transition to full-time work and move off Medicaid and onto their employer's insurance. But without a working payment model when these sickle cell drugs are launched, the pressures of a balanced budget can mean eligible people go without or are forced to wait for years for access to treatment. As I researched all of these different models for how to pay for gene therapies for sickle cell and other drugs, drug companies argue that developing breakthrough therapies is a risky and expensive process that should be rewarded, not just to recoup their costs or make it a profit, but to encourage more innovation. The dream scenario is that the technology evolves to make the process of developing these drugs cheaper and more efficient, and as a consequence, the prices are lowered. But we'll never get there if we're stuck in an obstructionist loop that keeps these drugs out of reach. As the various stakeholders contemplate the best strategy, they should remember the stakes are too high for the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I really think it's critical for us to solve this problem and find a way to ensure that not only can we invent cures, but we can get them to the people who need them.